keep up with CE at this point on day number 2. TheOne, though, they currently sit, I believe they also got a 1-1, or are they at the bottom of the table?
They lost to CE right now. So
they did, so they're at the bottom of the table. They need a 2-0 to even get into contention.
Once again, they are having the toughest schedule of all the teams, though, if you think about it. Facing CE first, and now it's the top dog, CE. So once these two teams are out of the way, I think things are going to look much easier and doable for TheOne as a whole, with players such as Hugo and Ming at the very back here. You can see them. They have more than what it takes to overcome the other teams, I think. And can I just mention that these hoodies, by the way, look just as glorious in real life as they do on camera.
I'm sure they do, and here we have the SPT ones, who also just look super dope.
Yeah.
Absolutely love their uniforms. Very cool indeed. But yeah, currently SPT, once again, running with a new player this season, Molly, replacing Chen Xiao, who is going in for surgery. He is probably one of the best up-and-coming assassins in the game, and is fitting in very nicely for the team. But of course, once again, they did lose. They did lose in a 1-1 versus Sunny Lion yesterday.
Only managing to get a tie here. That is certainly not the result that SPT were hoping for. So let's really hope that they're not overly harsh and critical of themselves. Of course, analyzing their mistakes and analyzing what went wrong is recommended. But, you know, fighting amongst each other or blaming each other is definitely never a way to come back into the season. And if you were watching here's Molly, by the way, our key player for SPT, a wonderful player and a shining star in the making. So yeah, if there's one thing that you can see in the Oracle episodes of the Eastern Clash of the Chinese teams, then you could really see how certain players, I don't want to put the finger in anyone here, but certain players in SPT are quite vocal, or can get quite vocal if things don't go well.
Very true, and that is also something we experienced at the last event I went to, where SPT were there, was the mid-season brawl, and that was the one thing we noticed when we were like sitting in the actual studio, as opposed to actually being at DreamHack. We were in the DreamHack studios.
Yeah,
and the one thing we noticed is they're really loud. They shout a lot during a game, and it's very fun to see. And we're just all sitting there, just like, oh my god. Yeah.
If you thought Breeze and the Fnatic boys are loud during a match, if you ever witnessed them live, for example, then just wait until you see Korean and especially Chinese teams duke it out, man. Those guys can get very agitated, but especially for the Korean teams, their way of communicating seems to be quite successful, not just in Heroes of the Storm, but in all esports, in which Korea is sitting at the top of the table.
Very true, and here we have the compared statistics. Unsurprisingly, SPTs are significantly better in every single way, but those are statistics over previous seasons. They are not basically over this season, and the first map is going to be Sky Temple. This is not an SPT go-to. It's not one of their two, we will insta-pick this. In fact, one of their, we will insta-pick this in the form of Sky Temple has been removed.
Yeah, very true. Braxis, by the way, not banned, but it seems to be a gentleman's agreement between all of the teams in HGC, not just in China, but across the globe, that this map does not want to be picked. And the first one to break this agreement is going to have to face the wrath of 10,000 years in company of Bikini Stitches.
I mean, that's a rare
Whether
skin.
That's a punishment or not, that is up to you guys.
That's a rare skin. I mean, you used to only be able... I think you could buy it properly now, but you used to only be able to get it if you bought a plushie. It used to be exclusive to you know, anyone with exposable income. As we do see the double Overwatch band out. Now, Furion picked up first, and this is probably going to force TheOne to just grab Tracer straight away if they want to be able to keep up in terms of the draft. Nope, it's Hanzo.
It's Hanzo after all, and just when I thought the Queen Feet had stabilized, off goes the purple circle of doom. Now, what am I 7.5? Hey, look at that.
Nice.
Are we getting,
we'll take it.
Are we getting resistant and immune, maybe even against those circles?
Building up immunity. So Tracer has been given over to TheOne here, and okay, no new spinning circle.
SPT
yeah, they should pick up Medivh straight away. I think I agree with that.
Oh, you know what? SPT, Melody C, on that Medivh. I mean, he played it when he wasn't even on his rework yet. So, it would surprise me if they didn't consider at least the possibility for it.
Yeah. Just remove the counter. I mean, they can ban it because there is a ban phase before their opponents pick anything next as well, so they have that as the option too. But yeah, Tracer is great. They have Malfurion, one of the best healers to go with her. They're looking pretty good right now. I refresh.
You know what? That makes a lot of sense, though. Picking a Nubrak here now causes the enemy team to, you know, not have the ability of putting Tracer in the cocoon. I think that is probably one of the most solid ways of dealing with Tracer. You just wrap her in the cocoon and then hope to not having to face her for as long as possible. But you know, there's still a couple of other heroes that could pair off really well. I just can't believe, by the way, that TheOne, although being first pick, first ban, oh, sorry, they weren't, but I still can't believe they let both Malfurion and Tracer go through. Like, that is just mind-blowing to me right now.
I mean, Garrosh is one of the possible counters to Tracer, but that requires you to be very quick on that taunt or land a very good Groundbreaker. Brain, please. To be able to catch her.
I'll just wait until the variant rework goes live and we're going to have Tracer counters at level 4. Yeah, with the taunt. It's going to be good.
I'm giving a judging look, but I actually agree. So I was just for comedy's sake, which no one can see anyway, I've realized, through the draft. So ruined as we await to see. I agree. Variant rework's going to bring him back in as pretty much just a dedicated Tracer counter at this point.
Definitely true.
Illidan. Sensible. Because they banned out Cassia, so I expected them to make... If Illidan was available, Arthur's Illidan would have probably been like the next two pickups, and then just like any support.
Yeah, the map is Sky Temple, by the way, for all of you guys who were wondering. We don't have an indicator here, unlike in the other regions. Maybe we could add that, like a little symbol in the bottom corner or something.
We do. It's just in Chinese.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we do have the map name at the top, right? But maybe a little icon next to it, that would be nice. We're probably going to tell the production crew to maybe implement that. I think it shouldn't be too hard, right? Shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, it would make sense. And it usually shows it on the little video at the bottom before as the draft loads, but if people arrive in before that or aren't looking, then they might miss that. Either way, we are here to be informative, and therefore Sky Temple. That is the map.
Yeah, and of course, when we talk about TheOne, we have to mention Hugo, their star player, the best Illidan in China, hands down. And this is purely just a precaution measure, because even Korean teams would struggle when it came to facing Hugo's Illidan. They took a game of Blossom there in quite convincing fashion, mind you. So throughout the borders, or even beyond the borders of China, Hugo's Illidan is now well respected. So it makes sense for SPT to basically get rid of it.
Even earning the respect of Caldor, as you told me the story from Eastern Clash. And Caldor notoriously, notoriously not judgmental. I'm failing to find the word here. Notoriously cautious about giving out crazy praise on a probably going to lose team.
Let's put it this way: if you're able to impress Caldor, then you know you've made it in your Heroes of the Storm Pro career.
Notoriously hard to impress. That is the word I am looking for. There we go. As we see the next two picks being required. Medivh was let through and not picked up by TheOne, so I think they kind of have to just pick it now because it still could fit into the draft of TheOne.
So they're still lacking a sole laner. It could be Sonya. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. The Sonya makes a lot of sense. The Falstad coming in there as well.
That's for Molly, I see. Interesting.
Yeah. So Melody C most likely on that Falstad, while we see Molly taking care of the Tracer. It could also be the other way around. I mean,
yeah, I think it's the other way around.
Yeah, it could be also the other way around. I mean, Molly probably the slightly less experienced player, so maybe you want to put him on a more safe hero, whereas Melody C is the mechanics god of China. He's definitely not going to disappoint on that Tracer.
That is agreed. So now we need from TheOne a Grey Maid, apparently, before I could even finish the fort. I was going to say someone who can like maybe take over a solo lane, because Tyrael can solo lane, but it's not the most efficient. He just sort of holds. But being able to pick up the Grey Maid is pretty reasonable. A little bit of extra point-and-click burst for Tracer.
Yeah, definitely true. So with Tracer in the mix, I think Greymane has to be particularly careful of where he treads in the early mid-game, because if he goes for an obvious mercenary route, right, if he goes for the Siege Giants, let's say, right the moment they spawn, then it could be an easy task for Tracer, maybe followed by a false set flight and a Nubrak dive to gank them, or to gank the Greymane and take the Mercenary Camp for themselves. With high mobility, Tracer Nubrak is a very scary combo to face.
This is where we end up seeing a lightning rod build coming in from Falstad, stealing all your mercs. We've seen it before in HGC China. One worked and many did not. So about the same as a lot of Chinese charities, strategies, to be fair.
Yeah. All right, so Sky Temple, it's actually cool to see that TheOne picked this battleground up, because normally TheOne is all about team fighting. They're all about, you know, sticking as a 4 or 5 man unit and then just brawl all day long. That's how they overcame Blossom as well in that game on Battlefield of Eternity. But for now, they're the ones willing to go to Sky Temple, a more macro-oriented map. Maybe they're like, you know what, if we get a good early game, we can take down SPT. But here we go, we have the boys of TheOne with Hugo on that Turiel, Lucky playing Hanzo, Meng on Greymane, ZJZ on Stukov, and Hihi plays the Garage.
And on the right side, it's Super Perfect Team with Molly on Falstad, Melody on Tracer, Misaka on Anubarak, Soap on the Sonya, and Zizzy H is playing on the Malfurion. Or, for those of us from the more European colonies, ZZH.
Well said. Well said, lad.
Good
Do
show.
most people actually use the word lad a lot?
I use it ironically. It depends on where. It's a colloquial. It is a local dialect in some areas.
Okay.
Like Scotland is a little bit more.
Laddie.
Laddie.
All right. So, in the meantime, not much has happened. I don't know why I find that so funny, but makes me like if I traveled to Scotland, I would probably just. I wouldn't stop smiling and giggling because everyone talked like Muradin, when in fact it is Muradin that talks like Scottish people, you know?
Only in some areas. Once again, Scotland also has a very large variety of accents. So we see the knock up. Like the Edinburgh accent is very different from the Glasgow accent.
Can you do it?
Not the Glasgow. I can barely do Scottish. Like Scottish is pretty. No, I can't do it.
Can you do a Muradin line in the Edinburgh accent so we have a difference in where we have a comparison?
No, probably not, no. But Scottish is the one accent I really struggle with.
Aww.
Had a girlfriend who was from Edinburgh. She could but she spent so much time in the south of England that she sort of picked it up.
Oh no!
And then could just switch it back on at will, and it was pretty amusing. Just immediately just swapping into the Scottish accent when she felt like it.
All right. In the meantime, that's exactly what we expected here from SPT, going in for cheeky mercenary camp steals. Unfortunately for them, they couldn't catch Greymane red-handed while he was basically still doing it. In the meantime, we see a huge rotation coming after Soap leading the charge from Sonya. Misaka right behind, Melody C as well. They're going for the Stukov, the least mobile target here, but already a little bit of miscommunication here. It looks like one half of the team wanted to go for Greymane, the other one for Stukov.
Well, they were not able to get either of them, and instead lose Malfurion, as a lovely Garrosh does what Garrosh does best.
So yeah, you could really see how targets were attacking different opponents at the same time. We saw a little bit of focus on Greymane, a little bit of focus on the Stukov, and while I do agree that Stukov looked like a good target in the first place, I think Greymane was a little bit deeper in, so maybe if Tracer had attacked the Greymane as well, that could have been a kill. In the meantime, they're going for Stukov this time around. They all attack the same target, and they blow the Admiral up.
Yeah, sometimes a little bit of communication is all that it takes, and they're able to pick up the kill onto Stukov, bringing the kill count to 1-1, and they were able to save their gate. It's currently made out of like nice biscuits, but it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there. Very important here. So now let's see how SPT want to play this. They're taking the Night Camp right now, causing a little bit of distraction during the first temple phase, which is about to go live after just a few pixels and 5 seconds.
The Mercenary Camp is picked up to hopefully give themselves a little bit of opportunity to fight over this top tribe, because they can just back up into the spell shield. This is going to attempt to be the plan as they move in. Melody C pokes around, one of the most mechanically skilled players in the league and potentially in the world, playing one of the most mechanically interesting heroes as Tracer. Moving around, Misaka leading the charge, forces Tyrael to Eldrin's Might out.
Yeah, while in the meantime, Falset is holding strong in that middle lane. So tempo value going all the way in favor of SPT. Let's see how long Molly can actually hold it. He's already retreating, taking no unnecessary risks here. The Vision Tower, of course, in the middle of the map, helping him greatly to anticipate when the one would actually step down and try to interfere.
Indeed, and as such, he's able to stay safe, soak some XP, can put himself in a decent position, even get a couple more season marksman stacks. Nice throw by Hehe, giving his team a chance to back up, but Tracer's having none of it. Melody C picking up the kill onto Meng.
Yeah, with only a quarter of health left here on that Greymane. The Pulse Bomb was strong enough, even pre-10, to blow Greymane off his socks here. Now in the meantime, Greymane is not letting go. He's going in, pursuing the target relentlessly, but gets blown to pieces by Tyrael. Justice upon Tracer.
As they move forward, looking for a counter kill though. The one just tanking through this, pushing through the spell shield. Incredibly risky here.
Yeah, quite risky indeed, but that is oftentimes the weakness of players like Melody C. They oftentimes get a little too ahead of themselves. They're trying to get more than they could chew, to bite off more than they could chew. In the meantime, we have a little bit of a lag here again. I'm all the way up to 10 seconds now on my latency. What about you?
I've already refreshed. I'm 6:30.
6:30. I'm sitting
Never mind, Spinny Circle.
Oh, no, for me too. Let's see where it takes us. Let's see where the circle takes us.
Let us follow this magical journey of bits and bytes.
7-8.
8:40.
Hey, 8:20.
That's not bad.
Boom!
That's sweet.
You know what?
We'll take that.
We're never going to refresh again. I think the circle affects us both equally.
We'll see. We will see. As Hehe hides the cheeky chap he is. Right, there's some Melody C, but Melody C moving up to the mercenary camp to tank his way through, and a noob tunneling for freedom.
The Underking and the shield on the bird charge, the range and the shield, keeping Anub'arak alive just like CZH did with impeccable timing on that Moonfire. A big save, and that is of course the big danger that people always have to face here. It is the slow into lurking arm silence from Stukov. By the way, I just noticed that it's ZJC against CZH. Looks like support players are trying to like the letter Z.
Yeah, very true. Don't know why. We would have to ask them, I guess. It is quite unusual, but like you said, does appear to be the case.
Hugo and his men are trying to go for that night camp. In the meantime, the bottom half of the map is dangerously exposed, and I do not agree with this decision making here. I think it's true. It is nice to have a night camp while the bottom temple is up, but at the cost of losing 2 towers and potentially the gate, only to give sway to the temple as well. I think they're going to lose more than they're ever going to get with that mercenary camp. So wrong prioritization, in my opinion, in terms of map macro play.
With the shots coming in, the first one just immediately wiped out the gates that had basically no health. Fountain is now down, a much better position for SPT to fight it if they do wish to. Anub is thrown, but he's a Anub'arak. All he has to do is to get out of this silence, but a nice knockdown there, and they do actually kill off Anub'arak here. Now it is ZZH just getting decimated there. That's going to be 3 kills by the one. Good execution and immediate boss attempt.
You know what? Of course, the one proved me wrong here with what I said, right? But it's also SPT overstaying their welcome. All they needed to do was back off. They basically had a successful laser charge already. And it is the one with ferocious aggression here, actually. I want to take a look at that again here. Look at the silence by Stukov immediately blowing up here. Finishing Doggy Bite and then going for the Tracer immediately again. Greymane, Meng tearing things apart with Go for a Throat.
Man, Mighty Gust was available. I really wanted Falstad to just pull off the Hero League move of flying in and trying to gust everyone. But it would have been a 2 versus 5. That would have been incredibly risky. As the boss pushes in, we're seeing the final remaining parts of the shots being taken by the one. This will, at minimum, guarantee them this fort.
And you know what? I think it's actually a team mistake, a communication error there as well. I'm pretty sure that everyone knew that Molly on that Falset was doing the right thing, right? He was de-pushing the night camp. He was trying to soak a little bit more. That's even more reason for SPT not to go all in and not even try to get close to the likes of Garrosh, to the likes of Greymane. So a heavy decision-making error here for the one, for SPT, excuse me, and the one capitalizing brutally on it.
We're also seeing ever so slight misplays coming in from the one, and this could be the opportunity for SPT to get themselves back in. For starters, though, they need to avoid this kind of scenario. Dragon Arrow comes in, and immediately a noob is once again destroyed. Flaming Swipe has also separated Soap from the rest of his team, but he's going to still move in and try and take out one of the backliners, looking for Stukov ideally, as Hugo continues to drop the shield. ZZH is getting out of there. He's able to survive, ZJZ, as they push in and they're able to kill off the Sonya instead. The dive was too deep. Murdy C getting targeted by Greymane, but they are not able to get that kill.
Wow, once again, the raw power of those team fights for the One is so impressive to see. Keep in mind, they're facing the 3-time China champions here for SPT, who are looking shaky, who are looking undetermined, which is highly unusual for them. Normally, they are the team that has the strongest showing when it comes to positioning, when it comes to rotating, but up to this point, they just aren't on the same page, it seems. Anubarak, Nisaka getting destroyed every single time. Even though the talent down, they just won't let go. They go from one fight to the next one.
Nerdy C getting out of there. Parting gift is delivered as he's still pulling back, dodging away from Heat, trying to avoid that groundbreaker. And he does survive, but they got nothing. They couldn't get the kill.
Nothing. They literally went into that fight hoping that with a 5 versus 4 advantage, they could actually take a kill or two, because they realized, you know what, Hanzo is dealing in the top lane with our mercenaries and minions. Let's just try to make it happen despite being a talent down, because that's maybe when the enemy team won't even expect us to go in that aggressively, right? But this one-dimensional playstyle by SPT, going from one team fight into the next one, into the next one, into the next one, I don't think is going to work out against a team like the One, because guess what? The One is best at, Tetra. It's team fighting.
Yeah, that is the one strategy that they are very, very good at. They're solid at a load of others, but actually team fighting is something the One can do consistently. You can see the fact that some of their other plays, Hugo, for example, on that bottom temple earlier, he stayed even past the point of no return on the temple. The temple, once you have 2 shots remaining on it and it's already in your channel, you can step off it and it will fire the 5 remaining shots. That is the minimum number you require. So, but he stayed for the entirety of the last 2 shots just to get the 5 shots, which he already had certain. They were already in his control. So he put himself in danger of a rotation from Anubarak, but was still able to teleport away.
Right, speaking of Hugo and Material, the sword is laying down here, granting a little bit of vision, but it looks like they don't want to commit to this fight over the mercenary camp just yet. Although SPT struggled a little bit in this game, they're still doing an okay job in keeping up the experience, and I think that is mostly due to Falstad and his global mobility. Always trying to be valuable on the map, always trying to get a little bit of experience in there. Melody C, the living ward, trying to provide vision to the team. But 16 is going to be here for the One, and I wonder if they can use that small time window, that half level that they have in the lead, to maybe force something upon SPT.
Got to find something to do with it. Their own camp would be lovely here, but the fact is, SPT will almost certainly finish this before the rest of the One can get down here, meaning that Garrosh would have to delay for an astonishing amount of time, and even he was not able to get there in time.
All right, Molly, as you can see in the meantime, he was soaking in the bottom lane, using his false set global mobility just to arrive in the nick of time if need be here. Now another Siege Giant camp at the ready. Holy ground for Tyrael is a thing, so no, I think he's not going to get caught again.
Yeah, Gust,
not even the Gust is going to save him.
Yeah, the Gust did not hit the lurking, the Stukov, so the lurking arm remains, and even so it had like the extra duration on the lurking arm, so he had no way out.
I think Nisaka is also struggling unusually hard in that game. So many times he fell to the hands of Stukov and the combined efforts of the One. It's very unusual for the leader of the team, the main shot caller, to get exposed and caught isolatedly all the time.
Now the boss is coming in once again. A 4 versus 5 might have been possible here for SPT, but not worth the risk now that Gust isn't available, so this boss is just going to be once again given away. So instead we see a 2-man push in top lane from Falstad and Sonya.
Yeah, they didn't even need the extra PvE damage here granted by scattering shots from Hanzo. They went for an explosive shot build with Redemption and Shattered Arrowheads at level 7. But still, with the power of Tyrael and all the zoning, all the boss control he offers, it was more than enough to take it for the One. And this could be a dead keep if SPT doesn't defend it well.
Could be an SPT grabbing control as much as they can, just putting pressure elsewhere on the map, and now they need to group up. They've got a Bruiser camp. It's going to put pressure on top lane, but they've already pushed up. That's good for them. Now they just need to not lose the game as they are getting zoned in. A noob, instead of pulling back into the silence, dives in, and they're able to take down Stukov with ease. Twilight Dream was enough to silence Meng, but Meng has just sort of walked past and is able to kill off Malfurion anyway. He dropping low, finally going to be finished off. and that is still a 2-for-1, about to be a 3-for-1 in favor of SPT, unless, of course, Meng gets this cheeky kill on Melody C. Very nearly does that damage from a Greymane, but the keep went down. The core will survive, and a big chunk of comeback XP goes over to SPT.
And I love what Hugo did here, realizing that this team fight was definitely going south and there was no way for the one to hold. He really just used all of his mobility, mounted up immediately, and just takes as many shots from that bottom temple as possible. Knowing that, you know, if we also take control of the middle at some point, we're definitely going to get a keep once more. But with long death timers now, Tetra, at level 18, it looks like SPT is actually going to take control over both temples now.
Double shots, mid and bot begin to get sieged, and, well, TheOne can't do anything about it. They're having to stay near their base because they don't want to have their death staggered even more. They're just waiting for Greymane to revive in 8 seconds. And as such, they are going to get sieged as the shots continue to rain in. I don't think either of these will be enough for a keep, but the pressure that is now being just laid onto TheOne is the chance for SPT to get back into this game. In fact, they have taken the XP lead.
And you mentioned staggered deaths, Tetra. That's exactly what's hurting them right now. Meng died so late on that Greymane when everyone else was already retreating or dead already, that instead of trying to buy a couple more seconds and then die to Tracer, what he should have done while being so low in HP, I think he should have ran to the core, take the suicide into account here, and then respawn a little faster so that TheOne could have maybe fought for temples a little quicker.
I mean, even just jump into mid lane. If you're going to die, you might as well do some damage and kill a fountain or something, or at least do damage.
So 19.5 now for SPT, despite the fact that they're a keep down. They're in the driver's seat right now in TheOne. It would be so tragic for them after doing so well all game long in terms of team fighting if they would lose this game right now.
I had a quick little lag. Did you get one as well, or do I need to refresh?
Let's see. I mean,
I'm on 10.9.
I'm having constant lags here as well.
10.90.
What are you setting at?
10.90.
I'm setting at 8 seconds, so you may be a little behind here. So while Tetra's refreshing, we're going to take a look at what TheOne is trying to do here. If they want to go for a fight, they should do that right here, right now. Otherwise, they're going to have to wait a tiny little bit longer because of Falstead being so efficient when it comes to soaking. I think Molly on that Falstead, by the way, is the greatest reason why SPT is still doing well in experience. Now, level 20 is here. Molly is still waiting. He could go for the wind tunnel or the epic mount, depending on what the situation requires.
All right, I've got as high as I can. I'll wait for the lag to catch up with you properly. Okay. As we see, like I said, level 20 being held on for the moment, as both teams now have level 20, though.
Yep, level 20 is here. We see the improved flaming swipe, now allowing Stukov to control his swipe stacks much more quickly.
Play the game Arena by Hanzo, the potential end game scenario.
Holy Arena increasing the damage of all people standing in it. That could be a devastating combo if it goes on with the Greymane. Like if Greymane stands inside of and uses, let's say, Go for the Throat and working attacks, that could be very, very scary. Yeah,
that is core backdoor stuff that you could have to deal with here. With just Greymane running to the core with Tyrael and then Hanzo joining globally, they could just end the game, but not if Stukov goes down, and Garrosh as well. Greymane taken out, Falstead and Nubarak setting that up beautifully.
This was the best teamfight initiation I've ever seen by SPT in this phase up to this point. Team fighting wasn't really their expertise, wasn't really their forte, but now they initiated on Stukov, blowing him up in the middle, mid-air. Now looks like Hanzo is going to be the next one to fall, and TheOne has crumbled, finally crumbled, under the pressure of SPT. And with a very clean execution for the first time in this game, ironically also the last time in this game, SPT is going to end the Sky Temple round and takes the lead in the series 1-0.
Only takes one, and like you said, 1-0 going over to SPT. Good comeback, just nice delaying of their own deaths, and as such, were able to find the opportunity to end the game.
That, to me, Tetra, looked like an arm wrestling duel between